It's no secret Xander Schauffele and Phil Mickelson have a close friendship. After all, Mickelson's a mentor, friend, and even practice partner for Xander. But as the feud between the PGA Tour and Mickelson was heating up, their friendship looked to be in some serious danger. But now Xander has chosen his side no matter how difficult the decision was. For more on what he said and what he's been up to lately, keep watching. First up, let's look at what Xander had to say about the tricky situation. This is definitely a weird position for Xander, but no matter what, he did choose his stand from the middle of the blazing flames. And what bigger flame than the question of whether Phil Mickelson's right or not? You have to remember Schauffele's one of the golfers who's had pretty solid relationships with both his friend Mickelson and the PGA Tour. The Tour is crucial to his career, and Mickelson himself was instrumental in shaping his career. Given his closeness to both parties, fans have been waiting for the pro golfer's comments for quite a while, and he didn't disappoint. Xander actually provided a reasonably balanced assessment of the whole mess, and he also looked into Phil's opinions and talked about those too. He talked about the improvements that Mickelson proposed for the tour but didn't actually get to see them come through. He stated, "It's unfortunate he isn't a part of that because this is what he so wanted." Coming up, let's look at what changes Xander is talking about. According to the reports, there are about to be some major additions, like 3 highly lucrative international events. These events are going to imitate LIV Golf's business model and awards, as the Saudi league's giving away $36 million in cash prizes per tournament. Now, how exactly is the PGA entering the money race? The tour has planned 8 events with rewards of at least $20 million. Daniel Rappaport of Golf Digest claims restricted fields and no cut will also be included. The 3 PGA Tour Invitationals, the Jack Nicklaus Memorial, the Arnold Palmer event at Bay Hill, and the Tiger Woods Genesis Invitational at Riviera are rumored to be among the 5 current events. Next, the prize money is getting a massive boost. Let's bring out the big guns here. Monahan confirmed some of the elements of the reformatted tour in the presentation. The season will resume following the calendar in 2024, and 3 more international competitions will be added to the season's conclusion. The most crucial component is, of course, the money. The reward money will dramatically increase in order to entice players to stay and participate. Purses in 8 chosen tour events will total almost $20 million, which is going to make many who choose to stay very happy. The final round fields for the FedEx Cup playoffs will also change in 2023. It will now include 70 players for the FedEx St. Jude Championship, 50 players for the BMW Championship, and 30 players for the Tour Championship. Up next, let's come back to Xander. So, with all these huge changes, the 28-year-old claimed Mickelson has missed the new age of the PGA Tour. He recently appeared on Golf's Drop Zone podcast, where he discussed Lefty in detail. And here's the thing, the American was rumored to be on his way to LIV, but for the time being, he appears to be remaining at the PGA Tour. He believes many golfers now agree with Lefty, but can't get past some of the more unpleasant things he had to say. So it's pretty sad that Mickelson couldn't make people understand, but maybe now they do. Either way, he's one of the most well-known golfers, and his talent is unrivaled, so it didn't surprise many folks when he defected to LIV Golf. He's also talked about how this move has allowed him to reflect and be present for those he cared about. And it goes without saying that money's a big plus as well. Coming up, was Phil Mickelson right all along? We've seen how the de facto face of the LIV Golf Invitational Series appears slightly different in media appearances these days. He would have had no trouble ripping players and organizations alike, and he definitely wouldn't hesitate before sharing his opinions in the past. He was a larger-than-life figure, to be honest. But now, for pretty obvious reasons, he's adopting a cautious strategy to avoid saying anything too controversial. Not a bad plan, but we now have a watered-down Phil. This could be part of his therapy to remove his deficiencies, as he puts it so eloquently himself. Or maybe this is due to the impending trial. After all, there's no disputing LIV Golf has had a major impact on the golf world. Obviously, money's the talking point in this entire story. So Mickelson clearly felt the players were being taken advantage of. In his now famous comments to Alan Shipnuck of the Fire Pit Collective, he claimed the tour was illegally retaining players' money when discussing their reserves. Next up, Lefty believes the PGA Tour monopoly on golf's best is now over. The 6-time major champion believes the PGA Tour will have to face losing control of the world's greatest players with the rise of Greg Norman's league, especially since the Saudi-backed circuit has signed a bunch of elite players, with the PGA Tour barring them from competing in its own events. That's not all. The 52-year-old pro also believes the current standoff will naturally result in a truce, forcing the 2 circuits to coexist. But he might be the only one who thinks so. The LIV Golf CEO Greg Norman recently spoke up about how the league had no interest in negotiating after attempting and failing to engage the PGA Tour in talks over the last year. Well, that's clearly not an option anymore, Phil. And why would they call a truce now when their big money recruits include this year's Open champion and world number 3 Cameron Smith, two-time major winner Dustin Johnson, and American duo Brooks Koepka and Bryson DeChambeau. Coming up next, the 6-time major winner is looking to withdraw from the trial. Yep, you heard us. Lefty may now withdraw his name from LIV Golf's federal antitrust case against the PGA Tour. You'll remember Mickelson was one of the 11 golfers who sued the PGA Tour, arguing they'd been wrongfully suspended for competing in LIV Golf events. Not just that, but they also felt the American Tour was exploiting its monopoly position to prevent any competition. And then on August 27th, LIV Golf joined its players as a plaintiff in the lawsuit. This trial probably hits Mickelson hard since he's been at the center of the Rebel League's competition with the PGA Tour for the world's greatest players. He was also one of the first players to join. Here's the thing. We've seen time and time again how the star player has criticized the PGA Tour for its obnoxious greed, arguing professional players were free agents who should be entitled to play anywhere they pleased. But his sharp tongue has cost him, as he was forced to take a 4-month break from golf after making inflammatory statements to author Alan Shipnuck about the PGA Tour and Saudi Arabians. And then the tour punished Mickelson for 2 months for trying to bring people over to the dark side. His plea for readmission was denied around 2 months later, since he'd competed in the first LIV Golf event in London. Next up, let's look at what damage this trial is doing. So according to the lawsuit, the PGA Tour and the whole banning thing has seriously harmed Mickelson's chances of getting endorsement deals and sponsorships. After all, the tour's the only golf tour in the United States that's shown so much on broadcast television. And no matter the complaints against it, the American Tour earns far more in sponsorship, advertising, and broadcast money than any other golf tour. No wonder these LIV defectors are also bitter now. After all, Abraham Answer, Carlos Ortiz, Pat Perez, and Jason Kokrek, 4 of the original plaintiffs in the complaint, are no longer involved in the case. They've all withdrawn and may be old lefties next in line. And hey, the PGA Tour scored an early legal victory when 3 LIV players, Taylor Gooch, Hudson Swafford, and Matt Jones, were denied a temporary restraining order that would have allowed them to compete in the FedEx Cup playoffs. Finally, more on how the judge ruled in favor of the American circuit. It seems like the breakaway league isn't off to the best start. When the detailed grounds for dismissing the motion were made public, the judge actually said, if LIV Golf was elite golf's future, then what do TRO plaintiffs care about dust collecting trophies of a bygone era? Yikes, that's a sick burn. So, at first, 11 people were designated as plaintiffs. The biggest names in the 105-page complaint were, of course, Mickelson and Bryson DeChambeau. So, if you wanted this whole drama to end quickly, we're afraid that's not going to happen. Federal Judge Beth Labson Freeman set a July 2023 tentative date for summary judgment. Here's where the tour will like to try and have the antitrust action dismissed. The actual trial date has been set for January 8th, 2024. That's a wrap for this video. Do you believe Phil Mickelson was right all along? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one, and thanks for watching.